Do you know how much your wedding on Lake Como is going to cost you? I'm Sally Sephora. I'm a wedding planner on Lake Como. I've been planning weddings here for 16 years. I am the original wedding planning dinosaur. I'm going to help you break this down. Today, I've got a real villa on Lake Como. I won't tell you the name of the villa because just in case they're not happy with me publicly announcing all of their costs. But it is a real villa on Lake Como. I'm basing this breakdown on 50 people, and I'll break it down line by line for you so you can see how much you might expect to spend on music, flowers, etc. So, one thing to know about Lake Como is that you can spend a relatively small amount here. You could have a wedding here for, say, 10,000, 13,000 if you wanted to, although that would be a pretty small wedding. Or you could literally spend millions. There are 5-star hotels here. There are villas here that rent for 200,000 euros. So it does depend. It's really hard to give you one answer to how much will my wedding cost. So for today's example, I'm going to assume that you have 50 guests and that you're Jane and Joe average. You're not really dripping with money and diamonds, and you're not poor either. You're somewhere in the middle. You've got some money to spend, but you need your money to work well for you. Okay, this villa is on Lake Como. It's right on the banks of Lake Como. It's got its own boat port. It's got a lovely private lawn. You rent the villa exclusively with all of the bedrooms. It has 6 bedrooms, so it sleeps 12. It has a lovely courtyard outside with lake view where you can dine under the pretty trees. It has space inside the villa just in case you'd need it in case of bad weather, but you won't need it, it will not rain. And it's got a lovely aperitivo terrace for cocktail hour. Okay, so in our example, I'm referring to my notes because I have not memorized all of these. The villa itself is 9,000 plus 10% tax. That's for one night with all the rooms and to be able to hold your event there. You might want it for another night. It would be a good idea. If you only hire the villa for one night, for the night of the wedding only, that literally means you're checking in on your wedding day, which may or not be your dream. But if you want to keep costs down, you can hire it just for the night of the wedding. So it's 9,000 plus the 10% tax is 9,900. They have a separate fee if you'd like to get married on the lawn. So just to bring the chairs down and things. So for the setup for the ceremony by the lawn is 500 plus 10% tax. A symbolic celebrant in Italy is around 450. You can pay more, but there's no need to. You can also have your auntie or anyone you like read your symbolic ceremony. It doesn't have to be a celebrant. So your meals are going to be the biggest cost of the day in most villas, unless the villa's quite expensive. So here I've put 205 euros per guest times 50 guests, adding the 10% tax. That comes to 11,275. If your wedding does come to more than you hoped it would be, probably your guest numbers is the best way to bring the total amount down. An estimate for open bar is 10 euros per hour, times 50 guests, times 2 hours plus 10% tax. That's 1,100. Wedding planning, for a small medium wedding, we charge at Wedding Box 6,000 plus 22% tax, which is 7,320. Know that in Italy there are different tax rates. Boats will charge 5% tax, florists and catering 10% tax, everything else is 22%. Staff meals, you'll be expected to cover the cost of staff meals just for the staff that you're bringing into the villa on the day. So your planners, your photographers, video, maybe your DJ. So here I've put 60 euros because staff meals are less costly than the guests, times 6 staff. Adding the tax is 396 euros. Low estimate for ceremony musician plus DJ plus lights plus you'll need a music license. I've put 6,000. That's only a low estimate at this villa that I'm thinking of because at this villa you've got one music agency with exclusivity and that's going to push the prices up. I put 4,000 down for flowers, but you could literally go as small or as huge as you like here. You don't even have to have any flowers. Obviously, you could just have candles everywhere if you want to or nothing. It's entirely up to you. But 4,000 flowers is on the lower end. Most couples maybe would spend around 8,000. It's up to you, but I've gone lower for now. An estimate for photos is a bit the same. You could find a photographer for sort of 2,000-3,000, or you could spend like 20,000-30,000 if you want to. I put 4,000 down for photos. I don't think you need to spend more than that, and most of our couples spend around this amount. Same for video, so another 4,000 there. The sofa sets are included at this venue, which is a nice plus. Security guard for the evening is not optional. The villa are asking you to pay 180 plus 10% tax. They'll just stay discreetly in the background. They won't bother anybody. A minibus estimation to bring in your guests not staying at the villa. I've put 1,400 down for this to bring them to and take them back at the end of the night. An estimate for hair and makeup for the bride and 3 bridesmaids. I've put down 1,500 for this. This gives you a total of just over 52,000. So if you consider that this estimate was based on 50 guests, that's around 1,000 per guest. So as we did have a low estimate on flowers, and also this venue, the music stops at 11 o'clock at night, which is actually quite early, and you might want to compensate and add a party boat here so that you can continue celebrating until the early hours if you want to. A party boat will cost you, with music and drinks on board, around 5,000. So I would consider as your budget around 1,000 to 1,500. Know that if you did have a smaller number of guests, if you've got an intimate wedding for say 15 people, then your catering costs are going to rise quite a lot. Maybe you'll be looking at 350 per guest instead of the 205 I've got in this estimate. Also know that this estimate was for 50 people, but if you had say 180 people, you'd need a different villa. But the cost of your wedding wouldn't massively go up. The biggest cost would be the catering cost, but the music would stay pretty much the same as it would between like an 80 and a 180, 250 person wedding, because you'd likely still have the same music, the same lights, the same music license, the same flowers, although maybe you'd need some extra centerpieces, but the ceremony setup would likely be the same. So if you had 180 guests, maybe your price per head will even come down from what we're discussing for an average of 50 people. But obviously it will depend on your final choices. A band is a lot more expensive than a DJ. You could have the most enormous, beautiful flowers. It's really up to you. There are loads of added extras that you could add on, like ice cream carts, speedboats, things like this. I hope you found this helpful. If you're serious about planning your wedding on Lake Como, this is what we do for our couples here at Wedding Box. We talk to them about what they might want, and then we can help personalize and break down a budget for the whole day for them, so that before they get too far, they can see that it does fit into their budget. I do know this is probably the most common question that we have, is how much will the total be? And I understand. We'll do our best to work it down as accurately as possible, obviously taking into account that some villas, some suppliers will change their prices without telling us. They just do. But take this as a guide. It's our best guesstimate for you, and it won't steer you far wrong. I hope it helps.